Every single day, we make choices. What to eat, when to sleep, what to skip. Most feel harmless. But what if those little habits are quietly pushing open the door for cancer to walk in? Welcome to Healthy Aging Tips. Today, we're uncovering 6 everyday habits that could silently increase your risk of cancer. They're common, they're easy to ignore, but knowing them might just save your life. Which of these habits surprised you the most? Drop a comment below as we go, and let's talk about it. When most people think about cancer, they imagine obvious triggers, like smoking, heavy drinking, or exposure to toxic chemicals. Rarely do they suspect that something as familiar and comforting as a donut or a drive-through burger could be quietly setting the stage for a deadly disease. But that's exactly what happened to Daniel, a 45-year-old accountant living just outside Dallas, Texas. His daily routine felt typical. Breakfast often meant a gas station muffin and a large coffee. Lunch was usually pizza or burgers, and by the end of a long workday, he was too exhausted to cook, so he ordered fast food again. Daniel didn't smoke. He rarely drank. And he even tried to squeeze in a jog a few times a week. So when his doctor noticed elevated liver enzymes during a routine checkup, it came as a complete shock. Further testing revealed that he had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD, a condition in which fat builds up in the liver not because of alcohol, but because of diets overloaded with sugar, refined carbs, and processed fats. At first, Daniel felt fine. There were no symptoms, no pain, no fatigue, no warning signs. But inside his body, inflammation had already taken hold. That fat buildup began to scar the liver tissue, progressing silently from NAFLD to a more severe condition called NASH, and eventually to liver cancer. What makes this even more frightening is how quietly the damage accumulates. The liver, after all, is the body's detox powerhouse. It handles everything from filtering blood to breaking down toxins. But it can only manage so much. A constant diet of soda, sweetened snacks, and fried fast food slowly overwhelms its capacity. Sugar, especially fructose found in soft drinks and processed foods, gets converted directly into fat inside the liver. That fat triggers inflammation, which damages liver cells and lays the groundwork for fibrosis, cirrhosis, and, in many cases, cancer. This is not just Daniel's story. It's becoming an American epidemic. Over 100 million Americans are now believed to have NAFLD, and it has become the leading cause of liver cancer among non-drinkers. One study from the National Cancer Institute revealed that people with NAFLD are 3 to 5 times more likely to develop liver cancer, even if they've never touched alcohol. The most alarming part? Many of the foods driving this crisis don't even seem dangerous. 1 can of soda contains up to 10 teaspoons of sugar. White bread, pastries, and sweet breakfast cereals spike blood sugar rapidly and convert to fat. Fast food is often loaded with trans fats and inflammatory oils. And common treats like candy and packaged desserts are packed with artificial sugars and preservatives. These foods are everywhere. They're convenient, cheap, and widely accepted. But normal doesn't mean safe. The good news is that even small changes can protect your liver and reverse early damage. Replacing soda with water or unsweetened tea, adding more fiber from oats, beans, and leafy greens, limiting fast food to the occasional treat instead of a daily default, and choosing healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, and salmon can all make a profound difference. Regular movement, even something as simple as a daily 30-minute walk, can reduce liver fat significantly. The key is to act before symptoms appear, because the liver suffers in silence. It doesn't send out pain signals until the damage is severe. That's why awareness is so powerful. So I want to ask you, has anyone in your family been diagnosed with fatty liver? Or have you struggled to cut back on sugar or processed food in your own life? Leave a comment and share your story. Someone out there might be going through the exact same thing, and your experience could be the sign they need to change. In America, We often talk about what we eat, but rarely about what's missing from our plates. A diet rich in fats, but lacking fiber might not raise alarms at first glance, but inside your body, it can quietly fuel one of the deadliest forms of cancer, colon cancer. This was the case for Linda, a 52-year-old retired teacher from Ohio, whose meals for decades were filled with meat, cheese, fried foods, and processed snacks, while vegetables and fiber were nearly non-existent. Breakfast was usually bacon and eggs, lunch a sandwich with processed deli meats, and dinner often included creamy sauces and fried sides. Fiber was never a concern. It wasn't something her doctor ever emphasized. But then came the subtle signs: mild abdominal discomfort, occasional constipation, and a nagging feeling that her gut just wasn't working the way it used to. A routine colonoscopy revealed precancerous polyps. At first, she was stunned, but even more so when one of those polyps developed into stage 2 colon cancer just a year later. What Linda didn't realize, and what so many of us overlook, is that our colon is home to trillions of bacteria that play a vital role in protecting our health. When fed properly with plant-based fiber, these microbes help maintain the integrity of the gut lining, support our immune system, and keep inflammation in check. But a high-fat, low-fiber diet throws this balance off entirely. Harmful bacteria begin to dominate. Waste moves more slowly through the colon, allowing toxins and bile acids to linger and damage the intestinal wall. This toxic environment doesn't cause pain or symptoms right away, but over time, it triggers inflammation, cellular damage, and mutations that lay the groundwork for colorectal cancer. Unfortunately, Linda's story is becoming more common. The modern American diet is dangerously out of balance. Most people consume less than half the recommended daily intake of fiber, while saturated fats from red meat, fried foods, and cheese are consumed at alarming rates. As a result, the U.S. now has one of the highest rates of colon cancer in the developed world, especially among younger adults under 55, a trend that's both disturbing and largely preventable. The irony is that the solution is simple and within reach. Fiber isn't just about regular bowel movements. It's a powerful defender of colon health. It feeds beneficial bacteria that produce compounds like butyrate, which protect and repair colon cells. It binds to and removes carcinogens and excess hormones from the body. And when consumed consistently, just 25 to 35 grams a day from whole foods, fiber has been shown to lower the risk of colon cancer dramatically. The changes don't have to be overwhelming. You can start with small, manageable steps. Swap out one meat-heavy meal a day for a plant-based option, add a handful of beans, berries, or broccoli to your plate, and choose whole grains like oats or brown rice over white bread and pasta. And perhaps most importantly, avoid processed meats like bacon and deli slices. They've been classified by the World Health Organization as known cancer-causing agents. Remember, colon cancer doesn't strike overnight. It builds slowly, silently, shaped by choices we make every day without thinking twice. So now I'm curious, have you tried eating more fiber recently? Did you notice changes in how your body feels, your digestion, or even your energy levels? Drop a comment below and let us know. Your story might be just the motivation someone else needs to make a life-changing shift. We all enjoy the comfort of a hot meal, but few people realize that certain eating habits, like consuming food or drinks that are excessively hot, or eating heavily pickled and salty dishes regularly, could be quietly damaging the delicate lining of your esophagus and setting the stage for cancer. Mr. Harold, a 63-year-old retired mechanic from New Jersey, never imagined his lifelong routines would put his health at such risk. Every morning and evening, he drank his tea scalding hot, straight off the stove, just the way he liked it. Alongside nearly every meal, he enjoyed homemade pickled vegetables, lovingly prepared by his wife for years. To him, these were comforting, traditional, and harmless habits. But when he began experiencing a persistent burning sensation in his chest and difficulty swallowing, He initially brushed it off as a bit of reflux. When the symptoms didn't go away, he finally saw a doctor, only to be told he had early-stage esophageal cancer. Harold was stunned. He didn't smoke. He rarely drank. But what he didn't realize was that regularly drinking beverages hotter than 149 degrees Fahrenheit 65 degrees Celsius had slowly caused thermal injury to the sensitive tissue of his esophagus, tiny burns that accumulated over time. Combine that with decades of consuming salty, nitrate-rich pickled foods, and his esophagus had been under chronic assault day after day. Scientific studies, including one published in the International Journal of Cancer, have shown that consuming very hot drinks daily can double the risk of esophageal cancer, especially when combined with other irritants like alcohol or tobacco. And while pickled vegetables might sound healthy, many traditional varieties are high in salt and nitrates, which can convert into nitrosamines in the body, compounds known to damage DNA and promote cancer formation. In parts of the world where pickled food consumption is high, such as certain regions in China and Iran, rates of esophageal and stomach cancers are significantly elevated. Even homemade pickles, if not properly fermented, can carry mold or mycotoxins, which further damage cells. The real danger lies in the combination. When hot food repeatedly burns the esophageal lining and pickled food chemically irritates it, the tissue never gets a chance to fully heal. This ongoing cycle of injury, inflammation, and mutation creates the perfect storm for cancer to develop silently. The good news is, changes can be made today to protect this often overlooked organ. Simply letting hot drinks cool for a few minutes, replacing pickled sides with steamed vegetables, choosing low-sodium fermented foods, and avoiding excessive salt can go a long way. Most importantly, if you experience chronic reflux, discomfort, or trouble swallowing, don't ignore it. The esophagus lacks pain receptors like your skin does, so damage can occur for years without obvious symptoms. That's why prevention matters. Now I want to hear from you. Do you usually drink your tea or coffee piping hot? Do you eat pickled foods often? Let us know in the comments which habits you might rethink after hearing Harold's story. You never know who your experience might help. Modern life pushes many of us into late nights, whether it's catching up on work, scrolling endlessly through our phones, or binge-watching one more episode before bed. But what seems like a harmless routine, especially when paired with eating late, can quietly set the stage for something far more serious: stomach cancer. Monica, a 39-year-old nurse from Arizona, lived on this schedule for years. Working night shifts at the hospital meant she was constantly on her feet, grabbing snacks from the break room whenever she had a moment. Chips, cookies, instant noodles, whatever was available. After her shift ended at 7 a.m., she'd eat a heavy meal before collapsing into bed, thinking nothing of it. But over time, Monica began to notice bloating, frequent indigestion, and eventually unexplained weight loss. Concerned, she underwent an upper endoscopy. The results showed early signs of stomach cancer, an outcome she never imagined, and one she struggled to accept. The truth is, the human body follows a natural rhythm, a circadian clock that governs everything from hormone release to digestive function. When we ignore that clock by staying up late or eating during hours when our body expects rest, we disrupt its balance. For Monica, this meant elevated stomach acid levels at odd hours, constant irritation of the stomach lining, and poor digestion of high-fat, processed snacks eaten on the go. The presence of Helicobacter pylori, a bacteria that thrives in these conditions, can further inflame the stomach lining, turning chronic irritation into long-term cellular damage. Over months and years, this can develop into gastritis, then precancerous changes, and finally gastric cancer. It's important to recognize that late-night meals are rarely healthy. Fast food leftovers, sugary treats, or salty instant noodles don't just burden digestion, they create oxidative stress, fuel inflammation, and rob the stomach of its chance to repair itself during sleep. Studies have shown that those who regularly eat after 9 p.m. face a significantly higher risk of gastrointestinal issues, especially if they also suffer from sleep disturbances or work overnight shifts. And that's not just speculation. Scientific research in cancer epidemiology confirms it. Night shift workers, like Monica, are especially vulnerable, not just because of when they eat, but because their melatonin levels, the hormone that helps regulate sleep and gut repair, are naturally suppressed during overnight wakefulness. But here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul your entire lifestyle to protect your stomach. Simply eating your last meal 2 to 3 hours before sleep, choosing lighter, easy-to-digest foods like soups and steamed vegetables, avoiding fried or spicy dishes late in the day, and staying upright after meals can make a big difference. And even if your schedule demands late nights, establishing a consistent bedtime routine can help realign your body's rhythm. Your stomach is more than just a food processor. It's a complex organ that depends on rest to heal. And when it doesn't get that rest, the consequences build slowly, silently, and dangerously. So let me ask you, have you struggled with late-night eating or staying up too late? What helped you get back on track? Share your tips in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. We all know fruits and vegetables are good for you. But what most people don't realize is that skipping them day after day doesn't just deprive your body of nutrition. It weakens one of your most vital lines of defense against cancer, especially the kind that hides in plain sight, nasopharyngeal cancer, or cancer of the upper throat. Raymond, a 55-year-old truck driver from Mississippi, is living proof. Raised on rich Southern cooking, his diet revolved around meats, gravies, fried foods, and sweet tea. Fruits? Maybe a banana once in a while. Vegetables? Only if they were battered and deep-fried. He never smoked. He rarely drank. But for years, he experienced a blocked nose, occasional earaches, and a pressure in his head he chalked up to allergies or long hours behind the wheel. When the symptoms lingered, he finally saw a doctor. What followed stunned him. Scans and biopsies revealed nasopharyngeal carcinoma. The connection between his diet and the diagnosis wasn't immediately obvious to him, but to doctors, it was clear. A lack of fruits and vegetables doesn't just mean missing vitamins. It means stripping your body of the antioxidants, polyphenol, and immune-enhancing compounds that help prevent cancer from ever taking hold. In particular, the mucous membranes of the nasal passages and throat rely on these nutrients to neutralize toxins, repair daily damage, and keep viral threats like Epstein-Barr virus in check. Viruses strongly associated with this type of cancer. Without the support of vitamins A, C, E, and plant-based compounds, these tissues become inflamed, vulnerable, and slow to repair. Over time, that chronic inflammation and reduced immune surveillance create an open door for cancer to slip in undetected. While nasopharyngeal cancer is relatively rare in the U.S., it's becoming more common in communities with poor access to fresh produce and heavily processed diets. And research shows that those who consume the least fruits and vegetables may face up to 4 times the risk of developing cancers in the upper respiratory tract compared to those who eat them daily. But here's the good news. This is one risk factor that's absolutely within your control. Just adding a handful of berries to your morning oats, tossing spinach into your lunch sandwich, or replacing a sugary snack with an apple can begin to shift the odds. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cabbage, vibrant berries, leafy greens, citrus fruits, and even tomatoes contain powerful compounds like sulforaphane, flavonoids, and lycopene that actively fight inflammation and protect your cells from DNA damage. Even frozen vegetables can provide these benefits when fresh options are hard to find. You don't need to go vegan or perfect overnight, just consistent effort. A fruit with breakfast, greens at dinner, blending veggies into sauces if the texture bothers you. These small steps matter. Because what you don't eat, over time, can hurt you. And in the case of Raymond, years of ignoring plants left his body unarmed against a slow, silent disease. So I'll ask you, how are fruits and vegetables showing up in your life right now? Are they a daily habit, or something you're still working on? Let us know in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to take that first small, but powerful, step toward protection. Cancer often feels like a sudden threat, something that creeps in silently and strikes without warning. But cervical cancer is one of the few that we can often prevent entirely, and yet, too many people still miss the chance. That's where the HPV vaccine comes in, not as a treatment, but as a powerful shield. It's a shield that Isabel, a 33-year-old single mother from Texas, didn't know she needed until it was almost too late. In her early 20s, she hadn't gotten the vaccine. No one at the time really explained its importance. Not her family, not her doctor, not her school. Years passed, and life got busy. Then, out of nowhere, she started experiencing irregular bleeding and strange pelvic discomfort. Concerned, she went in for a checkup, and the results were devastating. A high-risk HPV infection and precancerous cells on her cervix. Thankfully, it was caught early enough to treat. But the emotional toll of facing the word cancer as a young mom was something she'll never forget. Looking back, she said, "If I had known the vaccine could have prevented this, I would have done it in a heartbeat." HPV, or human papillomavirus, is the most common sexually transmitted infection in the world. Most people will get it at some point, and while the body often clears it on its own, certain high-risk strains can linger, silently damaging cells until they turn cancerous. Cervical cancer, throat cancer, even anal and penile cancers, all have links to persistent HPV infections. The numbers don't lie. Over 90% of cervical cancer cases are caused by HPV. That means most of them are preventable. The vaccine, when given before exposure, ideally between ages 9 and 12, can reduce the risk of cervical cancer by up to 90%. Yet many people skip it, not because they don't care, but because they don't know. There's still stigma around sexual health, still myths about vaccine safety, still silence in too many exam rooms. But the science is clear. The HPV vaccine has been rigorously tested, approved by global health organizations, and is already saving tens of thousands of lives worldwide. It's not just for girls. It's for boys too. It's not about encouraging risky behavior. It's about giving your immune system the tools to block cancer before it starts. If you're a parent, now is the time to ask your child's doctor. If you're under 26 and haven't received it yet, it may not be too late. And even if you're older, there may still be benefits worth discussing with your provider. The key is awareness. The key is action. Cervical cancer doesn't happen overnight. It grows slowly, giving us a precious window of time to step in and stop it. And the HPV vaccine isn't just a medical breakthrough. It's a second chance for health, for peace of mind, for a future free from fear. So let me ask you, have you or someone you know gotten the HPV vaccine? Was it an easy decision, or did it take some time to understand its importance? Let us know in the comments. Your story could be the one that helped someone else say yes to protection. Cancer rarely announces its arrival with sirens. It builds slowly, silently, through the routines we hardly notice, the sugary snacks we reach for when we're tired, the fast food we grab between meetings, the late nights we convince ourselves are harmless. It's in the scalding tea we sip without thinking, the pickled sides passed down through generations, the skipped vaccines because no one had the conversation soon enough. But every one of these is a moment of choice. And every small change we make has the power to shift the future. Today, we uncovered 6 everyday habits that may be quietly setting the stage for cancer. Too much sugar in fast food, low fiber and high-fat diets, overly hot or pickled foods, late-night eating, neglecting fruits and vegetables, and missing the opportunity to protect ourselves with life-saving vaccines like HPV. These habits may seem ordinary. But ordinary doesn't mean safe. And the good news is, it's never too late to start changing them. Even one healthier meal, one earlier bedtime, one appointment you finally schedule, these are acts of prevention. These are steps toward a life not ruled by fear, but by awareness and action. If this video helped you reflect on your own routines, please take a moment to give it a like. Share it with someone you care about. And most importantly, drop a comment below. What's one habit you're planning to change starting today? Your voice could be the one that inspires someone else to take that first step. Because the truth is, the smallest change might just be the one that saves your life.